Hello students, my name is Sunday. I'll be taking you on this subject government, and for this section we have this objective to achieve: the background to the subject, the introduction, the meaning of the subject, the scope, the duties of a government, elements that make up government, and of course, what do you gain when you study this subject. Please sit back and I'll be right back. Welcome back, students, to this session on government. At the intro, I've given you the background and the objective for this subject. Let's quickly look at the background to the study of this subject. Whenever you have two or more people, the government is established. It's either formally or informally, directly or indirectly. So government is part of human existence, hence the need to study it. For instance, we have government in a home, a family setting, where you have the father, the mother, the children, and whoever the relatives staying with them. There's a government at their home. In a school system, you have government, whatever level of their school. In any organization, we equally have government. We'll move on. Now, introducing ourselves to this subject. Student, this subject can be discussed or classified into three main parts. The first part, part A, or referred to as section 1 by WAEC and NECO, and elementary or the introductory parts of this subject. The second part, which is part B, can also be subdivided into three other parts. We have the pre-colonial administration, that is before the coming of the colonial masters to this part of the world. Then we have colonialism, when the colonial master came. What were the systems that were operated and the administrators. And we have post-colonialism. After they left, we must have gotten independence. How do we fare within that period to date? So all these are expected to be studied in part B or section 2, government. The last part of government, which is part C, is what we title Nigeria and the world. In this aspect, you're expected to learn the international relationship between countries. This also is also known as the current affairs, where we discuss issues that are affecting the world at the moment. Under this section, you're also going to learn about international organizations, United Nations, Commonwealth of Nations, Non-Alignment Movement, AU, ECOWAS, and what have you. Now, students, how can we define this subject, government? Very simple. Government can be defined as an institution of the state that's responsible for making, for enforcing, and as well for interpreting laws. I hope you're enjoying the lecture so far. I will advise that you subscribe to this channel so that you can enjoy more from this place. Now, from that statement I just made, students, if you are to apply mathematical equation, you will notice that we have the letter G, the letter L, letter E, and of course the letter J. So government, it simply means G equals L plus E plus J. The letter G stands for government. The letter L stands for legislature. And letter E stands for the executive. And letter J stands for judiciary. These are the three components that make up any government. And that is why we interpreted or defined that subject as making, enforcing, as well as interpreting the laws for any state, which are the basic responsibilities and functions of these organs and components of government. As we move on. Now, students, we are looking at the scope of government. The scope has to do with the area covered by government. Now, from the definition we just saw in the previous slide, we said that government is an institution of the state. We have many institutions in the society, but government as an institution is a socio-political institution, such that a given society is being managed. The affairs of the society is being managed by that government. The way towards maintaining peace, law, and order is being done by the government, not by any other institution in the state. In another perspective, we say government is a process. Government is an act of governing. What do you mean by that? A process of daily running, daily administration of the affairs of the state. In every society, there are daily activities that are taking place that involves laws. All these are being done by the organ or by the instrument called government. In the last part of the scope of government, we have government as an academic field of study. What do we mean by this? We mean that government is a subject. Government is a course of study. And when we study this course, what do we learn? We learn political structures, we learn political institutions, and we learn political processes. All these are being taught in government. And that is why this subject is very important for those that are studying either public administration, political science, international relations, even law, sociology, psychology, philosophy. This subject is good for you as a basic foundation as you move higher in your study. Let's move on. Now we talk about government. What do we expect a good government to do for us? What are the duties of a good government? What are the functions that the government should perform in any state? Students, so far, I hope you are flowing with me and you're enjoying this video. Please subscribe to this channel so you can enjoy more of it. So what are we expecting government to do when it's instituted in a state? 1. We're expecting any good government to make laws. When there are no laws in a society, there will be chaos. To avoid chaos, laws are established to direct the affairs of the people. What do we expect a government to do? Number 2, a government is expected to maintain the laws that have been made. The laws are useless when they are not being enforced. The laws are useless when they are not being put into use. What do we expect a government to do? It is the responsibility of a good government to protect the lives and property of the citizen. What do we expect a good government to do? A good government is expected to provide social amenities that will make life meaningful and better for the people to live a good life. These are responsibilities of a good government. What do we expect a government to do? A government is expected to administer justice. Because if there's no justice, people will take laws into their hands. And by the way, we turn into a jungle justice. To avoid this, government is expected to administer justice by settling disputes between the people, among the people, between government agencies and organizations for the peace and serenity of that society. As we move on, what do we expect government to do? We're expecting a good government to also perform certain functions that will make the life of the people meaningful, particularly defense of the state. If there are no defense, there could be intruders that will intrude on the territorial integrity of a society. And that's why we have soldiers, army, who are responsible for the defense of the territorial integrity of any state. Part of the functions of a government is also to provide job opportunity. Government has been said to be the largest employer of labor. There's a limit to what an individual can do when it comes to employment. There's a limit to what an organization can do when it comes to employment. The largest employer of labor is the government. So the people in any society are looking up onto government for employment. What do we expect good government to do as part of this function? A good government maintain good relations with other nations, make friends, make policies, such a way that it will be for the benefit of the society and the people at large. Part of the functions of the government, number 9, is political function. The government is expected to conduct free and fair election for smooth and peaceful change of government. If government fails in this direction, there will be chaos in the society. There should be free and fair election, such a way that it will bring about peace and smooth transition from one government to another. Another function we are going to look here today in this session is the economic function. The government is expected to regulate all economic activities by dynamic economic policies that will bring about growth and development, that will encourage international organizations to come and invest in such economy. So these and many others are expectations of the people when it comes to government. When a government is performing its functions, it is time as a good government. And such that government will establish peace, serenity in that particular society. Now, if you remember, student, I mentioned earlier that government is an institution of a state. But where are many other institutions? As you know, religious organizations, they are institutions. Companies, industry, they are also institutions. Family is an institution. So what makes government to be distinguished from these other societal institutions? That's what we're talking about now. The elements, the characteristics, the attributes, the features that make government to be different from other institutions of a state. The first thing we're going to look at here is political power. With this power, the government is enabled to control, to influence all the affairs of the citizens and carry out all its policy in the state. It is only this institution that enjoys this political power. Another element of government as institution of the state is laws. How do we mean? I mean the Constitution. The laws, the fundamental rules and regulations, which are coded in a booklet called Constitution. These laws are made to regulate the activities and the behaviors of the citizens, even the behaviors of the government itself. So this is a fundamental feature that makes government an institution of a state. The next one I'm talking about is personnel. When we say government, it is made up of people. So we have personnel, qualified people, who are involved in the processes that we mentioned earlier, the processes of making, of enforcing, and as well as interpreting laws. So government make up this personnel. All right? As we look on to another characteristic of a good government, revenue. A government needs money. Money that make up their budgets. Money to execute all their policies, all their plans, all their manifestos. So this money needs to be at place for them to be a successful government. Finance. The next one is legitimacy. When we talk about legitimacy, we are talking about the acceptance, the general recognition that the people gives to the government. Any government that wants to succeed must seek the legitimacy of the people. And basically, this comes through what? Election. Okay? So when the people give all their support and acceptance and recognition to the government, such government, at the end of the day, is likely going to be a successful government. What again make up government as a distinct institution of the state? Welfare and social services. This is a major and primary obligation of the government to provide social amenities and infrastructures, good roads, schools, power supply, okay, that will make life meaningful and better for the citizenry. Another basic function of a good government is ability to organize a periodic change of government. No government is expected to be forever. In fact, that is the major difference between a government and a state. While a state is a permanent institution, a government is an administrative institution that is expected to change from one time to the other. No one is expected to rule forever. And this is the basis of what we call democratic government. My dear listener and viewer, student, I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. So please continue as you subscribe to this session so that you can enjoy more from us. Now, why do you think you need to study this subject? You need to ask yourself, what do I benefit? What are the gains? Why is this studying of this subject important to me? I will tell you some of them. One, when you study this subject, you will learn about your rights. you will know your duties to your states. There's one thing for you to know your right, there's also another thing for you to know your duties. Your responsibility to the state. As a state provided you with rights, you should also have what? Responsibility to the state. Your obligations. What, again, do I benefit when I learn this subject? This subject will prepare you to take active part in government of your country. You need to know what is going on. You need to be part, either directly or indirectly, of the running of the state of your country. What reason, again, do I need to study this subject? This subject will help those of you that want to become professional politicians. You want to join politics at any level, whether at the state, at the local, or the federal level. When you learn this subject, it will equip you. It will give you all the tools and information that are necessary for you to become a good politician. Why do I need to study this subject? Number 4, this subject will help you to defend your right, your fundamental human rights, when they are violated. What you don't know, you may not be able to fight for. But when you know it and somebody is encroaching to your right, you'll be able to defend it in a lawful manner. Why do I need to study this subject, government? This subject will develop in you local state of mind, your ability to reason out solutions to problems. Your logical thinking will be developed by the time you study this subject, even as you progress. To look at what other reasons why we need to study this subject. This subject, when you study it, it will liberate you from political ignorance. This subject will widen your political education. Some don't even know what is going on in their society. They don't even know who is their governor, who is their president, or who is their senator, or their House of Rep member, or their even councillor, or chairman of their local government. They never knew. Some don't even know the local government where they came from. That is disastrous. So when you study this subject, you will be delivered from political ignorance, and your political education will be enhanced. Why again do I need to study this subject? This subject will build in you the spirit of patriotism, the spirit of nationalism. You will think of your states. You will think of your country. You will not just think of yourself and your tribe, but you think of your country. That is patriotism and nationalism. Why must I study this subject, government? It will help you to understand politics and the system of government that has been operated in your country. Many populists don't even know the system we're operating. There are different systems. It could be presidential, it could be parliamentary, it could be federal, it could be confederal, it could be monarchy. So when you study this subject, this is where you'll be taught, you'll be exposed to these various types and systems of government. So when you learn this subject, it will help you to know which particular system is operational in your country. Why again do I need to study this subject? When you study government, it will help you to know about political events and development, either within or outside the country. You begin to know what is happening in the world. We call it current affairs. The Ukraine-Russia war, the current disagreement between Trump and the states of US. All these things will be learned when you study the subject. As we move on. So, I hope you have enjoyed this lecture so far. And I want to advise you to what? To join us and subscribe to this particular channel so that you can enjoy more and more that will be coming out from this place. As we round off for this session, I have some evaluation for you. 1. Describe the scope of government. Just trying to summarize and round off what you have learned and a take home for you that you go home and practice. These are various questions that have come out, either NECO or JAMB, whatever, and other sundry examinations. Describe the scope of government. When you have a question like this, it's different from define government. It's different from what is government. Another way of interpreting this question is explain the scope of government. So when we say the scope of government, we are talking about those three elements I mentioned earlier. One, I said government is an institution of the state. Two, I said government is a process, an act of governing. And three, I said government is a field of study, a course. So that is how you are going to state three of them, and you give the 1 line or 2 line explanation for each of those elements: institution, the field of study, and of course the act of governing. Number 2, list any 5 duties of a good government. We're talking about the responsibilities, what we expect a good government to do for us. If you recollect, in the course of the session, I mentioned about 10 or 12 of them, of what we expect a good government to do for us. Most important is that government should make law, because when there's no law, there will be chaos. And when laws are made, these laws are expected to be enforced, right? Government is expected to provide security and protect the lives and property of the people. So these are some of the duties expected of a good government. 3, what are the basic features that distinguish government from other institutions of the society? Remember, I mentioned in the course of the session that we have many institutions in the states. But government is distinguished because of those peculiar features, elements, and attributes, like political power, like the body of law called constitution, revenue, by which they used to carry out their policies. And lastly, just to evaluate us, why do you think the study of government is important? I also gave you a lot of points on this in the course of the session, and you can always go over the video and watch again. So at this point, you are coming to the end of this session, and I will advise and encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get more and more information on this, and you can also be part of our next class. And if you have any question or comment, you can just drop in our comment section. If you want me to react, I will also react to you in our next class, and from there we'll pick up to the next stage. Thank you for watching, and see you next class.